Everybody, welcome to Bike Scoop. This is our weekly show here at Performance Bicycle where we talk about all the latest and greatest things that are happening in our world that we're excited about, that we want to share with you. So thanks for tuning in. If this is your first time, this happens every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you're not following us on Facebook, go ahead and click that like button, follow us there. You can also find us on Instagram at Performance Bike. And lastly, at blog.performancebike.com is a great place for lots of weekly information. And we just put up a blog about interactive training, riding on Zwift. So you can go to blog.performancebike.com to also read about that. But today we're talking about it live. Today I'm joined by John Rogers, and he is one of our team members here at Performance. So John, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Zach. Thanks for having me. Hey, everybody. Good afternoon.
Yeah, why don't you tell everybody just real quick why you are the most have the most expertise to be with us today and talk about interactive training in Zwift.
Sure. So I'm the product manager over the accessories division here at Performance Bicycle. So I buy everything that doesn't come on a bike or just about everything that doesn't come on a bike when you buy it first. I buy all the trainers at Performance. I was an early adopter with Zwift. I've been riding Zwift for several years now, and certainly it's a major part of my winter training program. So very familiar with the Zwift platform and with all of the trainers we sell.
Cool. So you're the expert. That's why we have him here. Every week we try to have an expert on the topic of the week. So let's talk about Zwift. What is Zwift? And I think before we talk about what Zwift is, we should talk about training.
Sure.
Inside, over the winter, and historically speaking, how miserable it can be.
Yeah. Zwift is our training in general indoors has been a nemesis of me, and I think most cyclists. All of us that like to ride outdoors, having to take it indoors has always been like, oh God, I can't ride my bike outside. I hate it. And then along comes Zwift, which is this interactive that allows you to get on your bike and in real time ride in this virtual world. And you can ride on your own, you can ride with a group, you can ride with people all over the world, and it really brings your training to a whole new level, both from a fitness and a training perspective. It's great.
Yeah, it makes it super fun.
Yep.
It's engaging, so even though you're not riding next to somebody, you're riding next to real people in their houses or wherever they may be, their offices across the world.
Yep.
And if you're climbing up a hill and someone edges up next to you and starts to pass you, I mean, that kind of like competitive nature, for me at least, kicks in, and I try to ride a little bit harder to try to beat them.
Totally. Same for me. Funny story, actually. Some time ago, I was on one of the hills in Zwift, and I ride up alongside this rider. It tells you their names and who they are. And I'm like, wow, I recognize that name. That's somebody I work with, and they happen to live in Boston. And I'm like, I'm riding alongside my buddy in Boston, and we hadn't planned this, and suddenly we're riding up the hill together. It was really pretty neat.
It is cool.
Yeah.
So Zwift has totally revolutionized indoor training. It's made it fun. It's made it easy. For the most part, it does require some initial setup, which we'll run through that here in a second.
Sure.
But benefits, if you're short on time, it's easy to hop in and get a 20 to 30 minute ride. If it's just totally too miserable outside, if you live in a climate where it's just, you can't get outside. We personally always try to get outside. We're in the Southeast, so our season's pretty long here, but for people in up north, Canada, the Arctic tundra, Zwift is a great option for those folks.
And also what we really find is that we've really started to sell a lot more of our interactive trainers in the city, urban environments. So you get somebody who lives in a major city, and just from a time perspective, just by the time they get kitted up, get on their bike, and then ride to somewhere they can actually ride, it's a huge time saver. So you can do it on your own time. So if you have an hour at lunchtime, or you come home at night and your kids go to bed, you can find an hour to jump on the trainer and get a great workout in.
Yeah. And I found also, lastly, from personal experience, I would plan my rides out and say, okay, well, I'm going to ride 4 days a week, 5 days a week, whatever it is. But there's a big event that I've been training for. Zwift enabled me to add extra mileage onto my weekly training schedule. Right. So I was still getting those 4 to 5 outside rides in a week, but then I was squeezing in an extra 30 to 45 minutes in on the days that normally I wouldn't be able to make it outside. So that brings us to who is riding Zwift. Obviously, we're using Zwift. We love it. We kind of talked about climate-based stuff.
Yep.
Who else is on Zwift? Professionals are on Zwift.
Yeah, here's the amazing thing, and what Zwift has truly done, it has created a platform that if you're just somebody who wants to get fit, maybe lose a few pounds and have a more healthy lifestyle, Zwift is for you. If you're like that weekend warrior or a hardcore enthusiast or a professional, it's like everybody is able to get on Zwift. And, the thing is, you get to kind of create how easy or how hard you want to make it. So Zwift, it's like the simple answer is it's not pros, it's not enthusiasts only. This is for everybody. Yeah. This is for anybody who wants to have an active lifestyle.
Totally.
It's great.
So speaking of that, to get into it, let's talk about how to use it. So first we'll talk about the setup that you're going to need and kind of the couple most common ways to set up. So here in the studio, we have, first off, an interactive trainer that has ANT Plus and Bluetooth technology. And we have a laptop that we're running down here in the corner. And on that laptop is an ANT Plus dongle. Now that's something that sometimes you need to purchase from Amazon or anywhere online. You need to get the dongle. Some dongles come with some of the trainers that you get. But you plug the dongle into the computer, and then the computer, the laptop or your desktop, can talk to the smart trainer. And then for this instance, we have the computer hooked up to a television via an HDMI cable. So that's one way. And then runs through the second way that really revolutionized about a year ago.
That's right. That's right. So about a year ago, or maybe a little less than a year ago, Zwift went live with iOS and Android. So literally, that went from having to have a PC and the dongle and the picking up the signal from that method to just going to Bluetooth. And so now if you've got an iOS device or an Android device that's Bluetooth compatible, most of the trainers will speak in both Bluetooth and ANT+ signals. And so you can go right to, you can bounce the signal from your interactive trainer or your smart trainer straight to your phone or your iPad. And you can actually run the program right there, and you can just
watch it on the screen.
Be in the game on the screen. Or you can stream it to a TV.
To the television. And that's what I do. So I have an iPhone or an iPad, and I stream it to my Apple TV, which plays on my television. So before we dive into like the details of the trainer and the game, the other thing to mention is that you can get an ANT Plus speed cadence sensor, and what we call a dumb trainer. We'll talk about that later. That will get you in the game. And you can use any bike that you want with that setup.
And it's not, Zach, it's not just an ANT Plus speed and cadence sensor. There's some out there. There's also Bluetooth speed cadence sensors. And so you could do it either way. As long as your speed cadence sensor is transmitting a signal either in ANT Plus or Bluetooth, it will connect with and work on the game.
Cool. Perfect. So find out which method works the best for you. And then once you get set up with Zwift, there's usually a free trial, and then if you totally love it, I think there's a pretty low entry monthly fee. It's totally worth it. But why don't you hop on there and we'll kind of show you the game, right? So this home screen that we have up here is, of course, through the computer. You would also see this if you were using your Android or iOS device. And we've kind of already logged in. We're just going to go ahead and click Ride here. And we're going to give our internet 1 second to just make sure that everything's talking to each other as the screen pops up here. And again, if this is your first time tuning into this, this is the Performance Bicycle Bike Scoop. It happens every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Today we are talking with John from our product team about Zwift and interactive trainers. And you can see with this setup, sometimes it takes a minute, again, for all the things to talk to each other.
It's going to come up now in a second, Zach, and it'll bring us to a screen that everybody sees when they log in first. And it's that initial screen where the Zwift game will actually reaches out to your devices and starts to pick up the signals and says, okay, I can see the type of trainer you have. And all right, if you're wearing, right now I'm wearing a heart rate monitor, we'll see that in a moment. It'll pick up the signal from my heart rate monitor and so on and so forth. We'll see that in one moment now.
Okay, and it looks like it's logging you in here. Login is successful, so that brings up this next screen that shows the paired devices. And we've set this up. If it's your first time, you're going to need to pair all the devices. So today, John has a heart rate monitor on. His power source is the Wahoo Kicker, and that one is a controllable trainer, which we'll talk about here a little bit later.
And here, one of the neat things about this, Zach, is that I've never logged on to Zwift with any brand trainer that's a smart trainer that it doesn't instantaneously pick it up.
They've done a great job.
They've done a fabulous job of it recognizing when you've got an interactive trainer.
Cool. So we're going to click OK here because we have synced everything up. Now this is the kind of place where we say, okay, what are we going to do on Zwift? Well, for one, you can just ride. So if you just wanted to ride, you have 20 or 30 minutes, and you would click that, and you would start riding whatever the course of the day is, which I think it's good to mention that Zwift kind of presets what the courses are going to be each day. There's a course in Richmond, which is where the Worlds were. Then there's the London.
The London course, and then there's what they call Watopia, which is their virtual course.
Watopia's my favorite.
I think it's most people's favorite. It's so much fun.
Yeah. So you can't really select the course. You just need to plan ahead, and you kind of get what you get on there. But what you can also do if you don't want to just ride is you can select a workout for the day. And so if we were going to select a workout, there's all kinds of different things that we can select based on the time that you have and what you're trying to accomplish. And these are predetermined rides. You would click which one that you wanted to do, and then you would click workout, and you would follow on-screen cues to make you ride harder or slower.
And if you're looking to go do intervals or give yourself, if you've got 45 minutes and you're crunched for time and you need to really give yourself a workout, these are brutal. These are great.
I'm going to click cancel there for this. The other thing is up in the top right corner are upcoming events. So there's pre-scheduled group rides every day throughout the world. And so if you wanted to join a ride, you could find that online. There's a lot of resources. If you just search the Zwift blog and calendar, you can find that stuff. But it kind of lists the upcoming rides. And let's just say, you know, that the SAS ride is going on right now, and it just started. So you could start and join that ride. WBR is starting in 2 minutes. You know, here's one starting in 7 minutes and then one in 48 minutes. So if you're early to the ride, you can go ahead and select it. You can start riding, you get warmed up, and then when it's time to ride, it just plops you into that group ride.
Which is really neat, because I find that if you don't want to come to the start line just before the event starts, because they usually go hot right from the get-go. Yeah. So usually what I'll do is I'll select the event I want and give myself a good 20 minutes before that start time. So I'll just get on the course, start riding, get my warm-up in, and then the game just plops me right at the start line when that event is about to start. It's pretty neat.
And then there's also races. The races will show up in the same field here. So lastly, you can add goals, which is really cool. And there's all kinds of different things you can add there. For now, we're just going to click ride. And John is riding. Today we have, this is the London course, it looks like. Or is that Richmond? That's Richmond.
I think
Today's
Richmond.
Yep. This is really cool. So this shows, you know, the course that you're on over there is the UCI course. It keeps track real time of who's, you know, riding the course the fastest. And that brings us up to the point that there's different segments within Zwift that also interface with Strava if you're on that. So it will keep track of your position. There's also really cool sprints. I really like the sprint points, are a lot of fun, and KOMs.
And KOMs, that's right. And if you're a Strava user, you know, when you as soon as you finish your ride, it'll directly upload right to your Strava. So your ride counts towards your Strava goals.
Okay. Let's see here. What else? Over here on the right-hand screen, it's showing exactly who is in front of and behind you at any time, which is really cool. That's where you can kind of find, you know, friends every now and then. If you're riding with somebody, you know where your group is. And then, you know, as you approach turns, John's not really coming to one right now, but, you know, indicators will pop up where you can turn left or right or go straight depending on the course.
Yep. And you can do that with either your smartphone or with the laptop. And I don't have it within my reach here, and our laptop is set up a little bit over there, but typically I've got my laptop set up right here, and as I approach a turn, just the arrow keys allow me to make selections within the game and control the direction. You can also have your smartphone, and then the directions come up on your screen there to you know, navigate which way you want to go.
And if you're riding something like Watopia, there's all kinds of different options. There's even like a simulated Alps climb. And yeah, I think the best people probably do it in 25 or 30 minutes. It takes me about 45 minutes or so.
It's just such a great climb, though, because what it does is you just settle in and you get such a great workout because you're climbing for a solid 30, 35, 40 minutes. It's just fantastic. It's a great workout. So and that's one of the things that maybe we weren't 100% clear on, and I think most people know, but just so we're sure everybody does, the magic of the Zwift interactive game is that it actually feeds back to the trainer I'm on right here, the terrain that I'm riding. So if we hit a hill that's got a 6% pitch to it, suddenly I'm riding up a 6% grade.
And it feels so real.
Yep. And it feels really, really real. Yeah, that's the magic.
Now you can tweak in the settings the like the real setting. I think that's what they call it. Like how much feedback the trainer is going to give you. But on that Watopia climb, you know, it's like this 35, 40-minute climb, and then the last pitch is 15 to 18% grade, and it is brutal. I mean, personally, I'm up out of the saddle. I'm pedaling in squares. I'm sweating. There's sweat going all over the place. I'm stinking up the living room, all that kind of stuff. But again, I think one of the cool things, we just had a comment here, is, you know, it doesn't matter what type of cyclist you are. There's so many different options that you can just hop on here and have fun.
And here's the other thing as well, that you become surrounded by people that are very often at your own level. I mean, there's so many people on the course at the same time that, you know, if you're that guy that's out there that's doing 24 miles an hour, you're going to find yourself alongside people doing that speed. If you're someone who's riding at 14 miles an hour, you're going to find people moving at that speed as well, and there's always somebody to ride alongside with and challenge you along the way.
So let's see here. That kind of sums up, you know, how to get into the game, what you need to do it, what you can do while you're in the game. Whenever you're finished, you can just, I think John actually has to stop pedaling first, because the guy's still kind of rolling along here. But once you're done pedaling, you can stop the ride, and then you can upload that to Strava account if you want to. You can also just save it to your Zwift account. I think it's also cool to mention that there's all these different like levels and like different prizes almost that you can unlock in Zwift based on what you do. And so you can unlock new jerseys, you can unlock new bikes, you can totally customize your avatar to, you know, the kit, the wheels, and it's a lot, really cool.
When I started out first, I was always like, man, I've got to wear a helmet. I got to wear a helmet because that's how I'd be if I'm on the road. But now I've kind of given up on that. I'm like, okay, I'm really in the virtual world here. I don't need to have the helmet.
So John, stop here. We'll just click menu, and before we end ride, there's all kinds of really cool data here. You know, we've got his power distribution, heart rate distribution, you know, your FTP numbers for 5 seconds, 1 minute, 5 minutes, and 20 minutes. Kind of where you went, achievements that you made, all that kind of good stuff. And then when you end your ride, you can, gives you a little bit more information there, your ride report. You just click OK. And this is where you can save it to Strava and exit, or you can just throw the ride away. So we'll save and exit, and we're going to be out of here. So John, thanks for showing us that demo.
Super.
Let's talk real quick about the trainers that you really need. The different types of trainers. We're going to talk about that a little bit more detail. And again, we have these on performancebike.com, and in all of our stores we have tons of trainers that are Zwift compatible already. And we also have interactive stations at all of our, not all of them.
Most.
Interactive stations at a lot of our stores, most of our stores, where you can actually hop on an interactive trainer, hop on a Fuji bike, and you can ride Zwift in real time to check it out. So we mentioned earlier that there's kind of like dumb trainers, there's smart trainers, and then interactive trainers. So run us through the differences.
Sure. And just, you know, dumb trainers is kind of my own creation. It's not, it's not an industry name for anything. But, you know, your traditional trainer that we've all used over the years that basically just provides resistance, I'm calling that a dumb trainer. That's all it does. You're going to ride on it. As you shift gears on your bike, it's going to change the resistance you feel in the unit, and that's how you get your workout.
It's a little bit limited, but you can still use that with an ANT Plus or Bluetooth speed cadence sensor.
That's right.
To get on the game.
That's exactly a great point, Zach, that you can take any trainer and actually get on the game. And then so if we kind of go from your very basic, what I would call that dumb trainer, to what we call a smart trainer. And a smart trainer is going to come, and it's already going to have, out of the box, it's probably going to have a speed and cadence sensor. This particular one we have here has speed, cadence, and it has this little Missouro Blue transmitter, which also will transmit power. So you get a power reading from that. And so I call these ones smart trainers because what they're doing is they're transmitting data to the game one way. So you can be on the game, you can be on the course, and you'll see your speed, you'll see your cadence. If you happen to have one that's got the Missouro Blue here, you'll see your power output as well. And then you can be on the game and having fun. What you're not getting from a smart trainer is that level of feedback from the game, that when you hit that hill, that you're getting the resistance. But then when we get into what we call the interactive trainers, we have one here, and we have several. You know, we were on an interactive trainer, another one here. They're fully interactive, so they're transmitting data two ways. what you're doing on the trainer is going to the game, and then the game is sending back to your trainer all the information on the terrain, on what's going on. If there's a sprint coming up and you go for that sprint, you know, if it's a 4% grade up to the line, you're feeling every piece of it, and so it's a fully interactive experience.
Big climb that I was talking about earlier, where you're out of the saddle, pedaling squares, sweating all over the place. Right. For me, that's with an interactive trainer, getting that feedback from it. And then let's talk real quick about the differences in drive styles, right? So these are all kind of wheel on, which is great, easy to get into it. Maybe the only downside is that, you know, some people will have to buy an extra wheel to swap it back and forth really quick, or because if you ride the same bike all the time and you're taking your bike outside and then throw it on this, the wheel on style can kind of like rub the tires out a little bit faster.
A little bit more tire wear coming from the ones with the wheel in. And also there's a little bit of loss of the quality of the data in terms between that tire connection and the resistance unit. Whereas when you move to what we call a direct drive here, where the wheel comes out, you know, the power data coming out of that is a little bit more accurate.
Now let's check out this direct drive. Like, a really cool thing about this, and somebody mentioned this earlier, that these are really quiet trainers. I have one of the wheel ons, and my bike goes back and forth on it. It is pretty loud. Like, if I'm riding after the kids have gone to sleep, sometimes it can be pretty loud there. But the direct drives are much more quiet. So the direct drive here, again, it's just the unit that the bike doesn't have a wheel on it. So why don't you're the expert, explain it to us a little bit more there, John.
Well, what I like about the direct drive ones are that the bike is completely kind of connected into the trainer. So the trainer becomes an integrated part of the bike. And so you really feel connected to it. There's no loss of power between the wheel and the drive resistance unit on a wheel-in trainer. I think that kind of plays part of the advantage to it. You don't get the tire wear with it. They're definitely quieter. So although they're more at the higher end of the price range, and you certainly are going to get a great experience with any trainer you choose, I think kind of the direct drive certainly are really kind of the pinnacle of where we can go with these trainers.
Cool.
Yep.
Well, folks, that's a wrap. I think we've kind of covered everything that has to do with interactive trainers, smart trainers, Zwift, the interactive stations that we have at the stores. Again, we have a plethora of options at performancebike.com and in all of our stores. So we highly suggest that you check it out. John, thanks for joining us.
Pleasure.
Appreciate it. Everyone, thanks for tuning in. Again, this is Bike Scoop. Happens every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it, and we'll catch you next week, all right?